Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I have for you some interesting ideas on how we can incorporate fabrics into our journals. Now, some of these ideas one must already be aware of, and I just thought we could maybe make a video putting all the different ideas of using fabrics together. If you're a beginner, then this will be a good way to just understand how fabrics work and what are the different ways you can use them in your journals. So let's get started. And the very first idea is like the most obvious one, where you use your fabric as the cover for the journal. Let me just show you. Now this was my recent Perlosia journal. Got quite a lot of love, this one. I'll leave the link uh, for the flip through of this journal and also the Etsy link. But as you can see, this is a fabric covered journal. This is a hardcover. You can hear that. But you can see I've layered two different kinds of fabrics, then also used a bit of lace, then also made the closure out of the fabric, just sort of made a belt out of it. I think using fabrics sort of simplifies your cover design a lot, because then the design or the patterns on the fabric sort of give you an already made up base sort of to work with. So using fabrics is a great idea, and it need not necessarily be something like this with a spine and a hardcover journal. If you're a beginner and not comfortable gluing fabric down on cardboard and on cardstock of some kind and making a full hardcover journal, you can also just make one like this, which is a soft cover journal with no real spine to it. And I've used, as you can see, denim cloth. This is still in the making, but I really like how this looks, and just adding some laces to the top has sort of made the cover complete. And I've just added the same fabric closure for it with a button. I think using fabrics sort of makes it very simple to work around covers, instead of just going with just cardstock and having to think through how to decorate your covers. Having fabrics instead makes it a lot more simpler. So that's idea number one, using fabrics for your covers. Then the next idea, the idea number two, this is what I like most. This is something I haven't tried yet, but this is what I really look forward to trying. This is where I suggest using the fabric as a page in the journal itself. So if this is your signature, maybe adding you know a folded piece of fabric like this and sewing it with your signature, that could add a bit of interest. Maybe even something like this, and that could be your signature. Of course, not just 3 pages. This is just, I'm showing for as an example, but this is what you could do. Just add a fabric page. Having a complete fabric journal with only fabrics is also what some people do, and it's already done before by quite a lot of people, where they don't use paper at all and all the pages are just fabrics, which is also quite nice really. But you could also mix it up like this, have a few pages out of paper and a few using fabrics, and that would just add a bit more of an interest into the journal. And I think that this is a really cool idea. So that's something you can try out. I think another next idea, which is sort of very you know obvious, is to use fabrics as pockets. I've just I've used fabrics as pockets a lot, so I'll just show you some that I've done. Now this is another of my recent journals, a soft cover leather journal. I'll leave the links for this one also down below, where this has a fabric pocket, as you can see here. So that's a pocket. Of course, for this particular fabric, I've just backed it onto some tracing paper, but you could just use fabric on its own if it's, you know, if it's a slightly sturdier fabric that is, you know, not very thin or flimsy, then you can just use the fabric without any backing and just make it into a pocket this way, whatever suits you. I really love how this one also came on. I'll just leave the links for this one too. So here is some example, like if this is a fabric pocket that I made for a work in progress. Now as you can see, it has a couple of different fabrics layered together with some lace. So if this was your journal page, then you could, not this size, slightly larger, but this could be your pocket. You know, you could either glue down or sew these sides down, and then that would become your pocket. Another interesting way is to make fabric pockets on your tags like this. That same themed journal also includes this little tag, which is, you know, which has this small pocket made out of fabric, so you could tuck tiny little things into it. So fabrics are also great for pockets. Next idea is to use fabric strips or you know, thin pieces of fabric as tag toppers or tassels or dangles. Like you have this tag here. We mostly use maybe lace or ribbons or something, but you could easily use a piece of fabric. Now this is from the same fabric and I've just used it as a tag topper. So this kind of helps, you know, if you're going by a certain theme of journal, then having similar items all throughout the journal kind of you know, makes it cohesive, and it sort of looks nice. So maybe using something like this with whatever fabric that you're using around in the journal could make it really you know, come together nicely. So maybe tag toppers like this, or using similar strips of fabric for a tassel of some kind. I've just put together this one really quickly just for some demonstration, but you can see there's nothing really into this tassel. It's just some fabric pieces and some ribbon and cords, but you don't really need anything fancy for a tassel, or you know, you can just have different colored fabrics and bring them together into a tassel of this kind, and even that would be really lovely. So that's another idea. Then another simple idea would be to make clusters and, you know, use them as decoration for your journals. Like you have these, you could use these to make just to give um, decoration to your page, or your pockets, or your, just make the whole cluster into a tuck spot. Like let me just show you. In this white journal, I've used quite a few. Here you go, there's another fabric pocket, another example for that. But here's one cluster, fabric cluster, that you can use as a tuck spot like this. Maybe just add a few buttons or some kind of center to make it pop better. But that is definitely one thing that you can do. Another one here, it's just some cardstock and few different pieces of fabric put together. Nothing fancy really, but looks so good. So clusters are a great way to use fabrics, and it also is great to just get rid of scraps of fabric. And if you want to bust your stash of fabric scraps, then making clusters is a great way. So for anyone just starting out, clusters are nothing but you just pick a few random pieces of papers and fabrics and just try and put them together. I'll just show you. I'm just picking things off what I have here on my table. Maybe we can add this, some dyed paper. Like that, maybe. And then maybe add stamp like this, a handmade stamp this is. Or you can also add something like a button. Just put this all together. You could, if you're using a button, you could sew it all together and it'll stay put, or you can simply glue them all together. You could do whatever. Many of the times what I do is I put together all the layers and I staple them, and then over the last over the staple I just put the last piece, the center piece. So that sort of simplifies things a lot. Plenty of ways to do clusters however you want them. So that's the next idea, clusters, fabric clusters. Great way to get you make use of your fabric scraps. The next idea is to make use of fabric as a page trim at the end of the page. Just use a slightly wider piece. Let me just show you. Like here, for example, I just have this particular page where I've used this wider piece of fabric as at the end of the page, like a trim, even though it's not a lace or a trim, but just using a wider piece of fabric can add a lot of interest. Here again, I've just used this piece of fabric as a page trim. So that's another idea. You need not have fancy laces or trims to decorate your journals. You can just make use of different fabrics that you have on hand, and maybe just cut a wider strip and use that as a tuck spot, or at the end of the page, or maybe just stick a wider piece of fabric at at the at the center of the page and use that as a belly band. So there are just so many things that you can do. And that's the end of this video. I hope you found my ideas useful, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So until we meet again, take care. Bye.